This podcast is for SEO professionals, and each week, with the help of our wonderful guests, we discuss the important stuff that actually affects our careers and progression, but sadly often doesn't get talked about. You know, the invaluable soft and interpersonal skills that are often taken for granted, such as the skills we need for listening, time management, communication, and more. We also talk about the big issues that affect us and our careers, such as burnout, imposter syndrome, self-belief, saying no, plus other big issues and obstacles. With this podcast, we want to share knowledge on topics that unlock our listeners' true potential and enhance not only their careers, but all parts of their lives. So, are you ready to prioritize your own personal growth and career development? Then let's crack on with this week's episode.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the SEO Mindset, where your hosts are myself, Tazmin, Suleman, and my very dear friend Sarah McDowell. We have episodes going out every Thursday, and this Thursday we are going to talk about something slightly different. This week I'm going to be sharing some reflections of my recent trip to India with Sarah, and how it really has unexpectedly become the gift that just keeps on giving to me. Now, for a bit of context, I'd attended an international women's conference at the Art of Living ashram in Bangalore. This is something that I have never done before. I'm not part of the Art of Living Foundation. I've never had this sort of experience, and it really was set off by a suggestion made by my cousin. So off I went, and part of the conference included a meditation course, which just blew my mind away. So I really wanted to share with Sarah about what it was like, and after just one session, what benefits it gave me and benefits that it continues to give me. So before we dive in, I just want to quickly remind everyone that, if you're enjoying what Sarah and I are doing, there are various ways that you can support us. One of them is you could buy us a coffee or a non-caffeinated beverage of our choice via the Buy Me a Coffee link. And another way you could support us is by signing up to the newsletter. Now, both of the links for these two things will be in the show notes, and it would be really lovely to be connected with you. So without further ado, let's dive in, and I can share with you also the wonderful trip that I've had. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hello. Do you know what? I feel in a good mood because when I went out with Benny the dog, we had blue skies and sunshine.
It does feel like the weather is taking a turn and we are reaching spring, and it feels glorious.
What does make me laugh is there's that thing, isn't there, that Brits love to talk about the weather because when it's the British weather, it's something to talk about because you get excited about all the different seasons. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to when the clocks go forward and we have lighter evenings, lighter mornings. And I just think people genuinely are in better moods when it's lighter and the weather is better.
100% agree. Now, before we dive into the podcast, I have an update for you and any listeners that are interested.
I'm intrigued.
On my spring bulb lasagnas. So a few episodes ago, I told Sarah about how I planted these bulbs in what's called a lasagna, where you have your tallest bulbs at the bottom and then middle and top. Do you know what happened to them, Sarah? The pesky squirrels came and ruined it all.
Oh no. So what is it ruined?
They're absolutely ruined. There's nothing coming in from those. Every time I redo the soil, they just come and think, I know what we can do, and just dig it all up again. So I'm
Oh,
I'm
Tasman.
Sorry to say that it did not work for me. But if there's anyone out there who took inspiration or has managed to succeed, please let us know. I would love to see a picture of that.
Or if anyone knows of any humane ways to deal with pesky squirrels, like let Tasman know. Surely there is like some way that you can protect them. I don't know, put some sort of mesh or netting or something.
At the
Greenhouse.
minute, again, at the minute, I'm feeling somewhat of a rage towards the pesky squirrels, and I'm not being able to think rationally beyond that. But anyway, that's a side note. In today's episode, Sarah, I wanted to share with you and the listeners about my recent trip to India and what I did there and what I learned. And that's the bigger part of it. So, a few weeks ago, I spent 8 days in Bangalore, thanks to my cousin who said, Tasmin, I'm doing this thing in Bangalore. Do you want to come with me? And first I said, don't be ridiculous. I haven't got time. But she didn't take no for an answer. And I spent 4 days with her eating and shopping. Anybody who wants advice on how to shop from 10 to 10, I'm your person.
Sorry, did you
And eat.
say 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the evening?
Yeah, yeah. One day,
Crikey.
we didn't start shopping until a bit later, and her husband, who was sat in Australia, rang her to check she was okay because every time she bought something, he got a notification on their credit card, and he rang her and said, "Is everything okay? Because I'm not seeing any bill." Nuts, absolute nuts. Anyway,
Ah.
but the main purpose of the trip was to attend an international women's conference at the Art of Living ashram in Bangalore, um, where I was part of the conference and I also took part in the meditation program there. So, Sarah,
Mm.
how do you feel about meditation? Is it something you do?
Well, funny you should ask me this question because I I have limited experience with meditation, but I am trying it more and sort of having more experiences around meditation. So, a couple of weeks ago, I did do my first sound bath, which was a lovely
Oh,
experience. So, something that me and Tash are being more intentional with is we're making sure that we try at least once a week, sometimes it's once every 2 weeks, that we'll do some like a date night or a date day, or we'll do something datey together. Because I think when you've been in a relationship for a while, you forget to go on dates, don't you? And you forget to do these things because you end up living together and like life just happens. So we're being intentional with that. And we take it in turns to plan the session. And when I was researching what to do when it was my week, I saw that this sound bath was a thing. So I read the description and it just sounded lovely. So we were in this room and there was like scented candles. The light was really low. You were told to go in really comfy clothes, and they told you to take like an eye mask and like a blanket, and basically you got comfy. And then we had someone um doing the sound bath, so they had lots of different like instruments at the front making all these wonderful sounds. Part of my brain was not able to switch off because I wanted to watch what the person was doing. But
yeah.
so obviously because it was the first time, I it was hard for me to switch off and get in a state of zen or state of like not really thinking. But when I was talking to other people that had gone, it takes a bit of time to get used to it and being able to switch off and just be in the moment. Because obviously with a sound bath, the idea, isn't it, that like the sounds take you into different like areas of your brain, and you can sort of figure out what's going out in your body. Because I was talking to a friend of mine who, when they went to a sound bath, it conjured up quite a lot of emotion and they ended up crying. So it was like a
Yeah.
release sort of thing. So yeah, that's my
Yeah. Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. So similar experiences that I've heard about with meditation, and more and more as our world is becoming busier and our minds are becoming more cluttered and our need to be focused is increasing, and then add to that social media and all sorts of other pressures, meditation is being used more and more as a mechanism, as a practice to calm our minds down. And there is this saying that you should meditate for at least 20 minutes a day unless you're really busy. If you're really busy, you should meditate for an hour.
I love that.
Um, And I wanted to share the experience that I had, because I went into this conference not knowing anything about it. So the organization is called the Art of Living Foundation. It was founded in the 80s by somebody called Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, and not to be confused with a musician, that's a different person. But his mission and the foundation's mission is to promote a stress-free way of living, and inner peace in society. And they do lots of stuff. They're global. If you want to find a centre near you, you'll probably find one. Um, but they work with prisons, they work with schools, they work with peace initiatives, and they have this type of breath work, which is the one I did, called Sky, which is a shortened version of, and I'm going to try and say this properly, Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, which is their signature practice. Um, and they also have this massive ashram in Bangalore. And when I say massive, there's a farm, there's a school, there's a well-being center, there's a yoga retreat there, there's also there. And what they had was this International Women's Conference. I had no idea what to expect, but it blew me away. So when you think of conference, you think corporate, you think sensible, you think professional. This was not like that at all. Now, there were about 500 women from around the world, and they were leaders in their field. So we're not talking, I mean, I was overwhelmed with some of the things that they were teaching us, blown away. But it was calm, it was happy, it was almost childlike, it was fun, it was colourful. There was a colour theme that, on day one, wear pastels, on day two, wear this. There were flowers everywhere. People were smiling, people were joyful. It didn't feel like the conferences that we go to, where you're almost preparing yourself a week before to deal with the stress. And the underlying theme of the whole conference was, and it was called Just Be. And what all of these women were saying, and the talks were, so we had the president of India helicoptered in. We had some billionaires that were launching books, helicoptering. We had heads of banks. We had CEOs of aviation companies. We had foundations of investment platforms. And what they were, I mean, they all prescribed to meditation. They were all part of Art of Living. But they were all saying you have to take out some time for yourself. Otherwise, you just can't do it. And this relentless hustle culture that we are part of in the West isn't working. So they were all part of that community, Art of Living. They all took out time for themselves and they all meditated. And I just found the whole experience something completely different. And I'm glad I had the 4 days in Bangalore with my cousin beforehand that helped me just wind down. But I was looking at these people who felt connected to each other, that felt present, that felt relaxed. And I'm thinking, you run huge organizations with so much stress. And here you are, being as playful and authentic and generous. And a lot of that is down to the practice of meditation. And I just found it
Mm.
fascinating.
It sounds fascinating, and it sounds like it was a very invigorating and empowering experience. And something that really shone out for me was when you said that it was almost childlike, because I hear so much about connecting with your inner child, being playful, being creative. And it's lovely to hear that there was a conference where you've got all these amazing, inspiring people, where there is this space where it's okay to be vulnerable and playful. So, can I ask how it was playful? Was it the sort of stuff that you were being asked to do had a playful element, or was it more?
No, I think so, for example, like, okay, let's take it to childlike. When you're at school, when you're a child, there are activities and then there's the playground. And in the playground, nobody's telling the kids how to be playful. They're just playing. And that's how it felt. There were talks, absolutely, and there was some interactivity, talk to the person next to you about this and this, but there was very little structured stuff. It was just the general mood of the place. Everyone seemed to feel, to me, very centered, very comfortable with who they were, very comfortable as in showing who they were. And a big part of their philosophy is acceptance. So one of the interactive bits, we were taught, asked about success, and I was talking to the woman next to me who had a difficult experience with her mother, as many of us do. And she, rather than dwelling on that, said, it's okay if she wasn't proud of me. That was great. That was the best thing she could have done, because that meant that I had to find a way of being proud of myself. And she
That's
just,
powerful.
it was very powerful. And she said, and I received motherly love from so many other people. So rather than dwelling on the problem, she turned it around to gratitude for the people who had given her support and love and
Mm.
affection. And actually, this lets me off the hook. This empowers me to go off and find my own confidence and be proud of me. So that was one of the glimpses, one of the few glimpses I had in the inner work that can sometimes feel messy and difficult. But by and large, it was a lot of smiling. You just felt the energy was.
And there's a big thing, isn't there, about something that I'm trying to be more intentional and mindful about is who I'm surrounding myself with. So there's a big thing, isn't there, about energy. So obviously, you can spend time with people who drain your energy, for example, or they're not good for your energy. Whereas you can spend time with other people where it's really positive and you can feel yourself coming alive and it's a really positive experience. But I also think if you surround yourself by other people that you look up to, or you have a similar mindset of what you want to achieve, or you want to be ambitious, or you want to be driven, the best way to do that is to surround yourself by other people, because I think sometimes just by being in that same environment or sharing that space with other people that can build you up, that is so powerful. And of course, that's going to push you to do things, because not only have you got them sort of encouraging you and inspiring you, but you've also got the confidence to try these things as well. Like, And it kind of makes you, these people are really owning it. They're really killing it. I want to do that. So of course it's going to help, isn't it?
Yeah. And another thing that happened, so this in the ashram, this the guru that is, the head of it, if you like, he's only at home for about 100 days of the year. The rest of the time he's abroad. But when we were there, he was there. So in the evenings, he would have outdoor meditations where we were there. So that was the 500. But I would estimate that there was probably another 1,500 people that also attended this outdoor guided meditation. And some of them are people who live nearby, some of them were people who had traveled from abroad. In India, to have 2,000 people outdoors in silence is rare. Like, you just don't find it. It is a noisy place. But it was silence, it was calm, and you could feel the energy. And like I said, I'm not a devotee. I'd never been to an Art of Living event at all. So I went deep end, going straight into one of these conferences and the meditation practice that I'm going to talk about after the break. But it was enlightening. The word meditation and enlightening
Hmm.
often goes hand in hand, but it definitely felt like, what, there is another way to do things. It doesn't have to be
Nice.
hard and
Hustle.
hustly, and yeah, it can be um, joyful and playful. And I suppose in a very little, in a small way, our live podcasts, that's what we're trying to do there, have a place of learning that feels stress free, that feels joyful, that feels like fun.
Mm.
So, yeah, no, that it was absolutely wonderful. But before we go for a break, because I want to tell you all about the meditation and how it can help in our day-to-day lives after the break. But what's been your key takeaway from the first half?
Oh, good question. Good question. I think it's just about what you just said, that it's not just about hustle. You don't just have to hustle to get things done. And actually, it's so important to put yourself first, and it's okay to put yourself first. So that is something that I'm learning, because I don't know, like, you get taught by lots of different people, don't you, about it's good to be able to give back or support other people, and of course, like, you want to be able to do that, but you should also be able to support and invest in yourself. So I think that it's just been a reminder that it is okay to take time for yourself and slow things down. And when you said at the beginning, you should try and meditate 20 minutes a day. If you're really busy, then it needs to be an hour. Like, yeah, of course. Like, meditation, it's a tricky thing to get into at first, isn't it? And it's like a learned discipline, which we'll learn more about in part two. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But there's a real art in switching off, calming down, and having a breather. And you need to do that because that is important for your own mental and physical health. But it's also important for the relationships that you have at work, in life, with loved ones, and also opportunities. Yeah. If you're not taking time for yourself to take a step back and address and have a think about what you want to do, and having this time, how are you going to know what opportunities are around? So, yeah, that would be my takeaway.
So I'll tweak that slightly before we move on to go into the break. What you said there was, of course, it's important to serve everyone else, but you have to take time out for yourself, as if they were two separate things. They're not. It's
Mm.
if you take time for yourself and calm your mind and still your body and regulate your inner world, you will be able to serve yourself. So, this whole conference, there were so many volunteers. Um, and they were that the whole philosophy is look after yourself in order to serve. Now that serve might be, take all sorts of shapes or forms, but this is the first step for you to be able to get to the next step, which is serving. So that,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Right. Shall we take that short
let's do it.
break? And I'm very excited for part 2 because I want to learn more about this and how. Yeah. So, yeah, let's take that break so then we can get to part 2. Sarah here, just quickly popping on to remind you of how you can support the podcast. You can give me and Tazmin a one-off donation. We are set up on Buy Me a Coffee. There is a link in the show notes and we'd be very much appreciative of that. You can also subscribe to the podcast. So in the show notes again, you'll see a link where you can subscribe on your preferred podcast playing app, whether that is Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, whatever you prefer. And whilst you're there, why not give us a cheeky 5-star review? Yeah, SEOs, you know how algorithms work. So all the lovely reviews that we can get will help the podcast.
Hi, Tazmin here. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Be more visible, earn more, but also take care of your well-being and have work-life harmony? Well, I can help you because I'm offering you a free 30-minute consultancy call. Together we can go through where you want to be and how to get there. Simply click in the link in the show notes, fill in a form, and I'll get back to you. Sarah, welcome to part 2 of this slightly different topic for us, isn't it? Meditation.
I love it. And I'm really excited for part 2. Really excited because, yeah, I want to learn more about this and I want to fully get involved and submerge myself into the world of meditation.
So, like I said, my cousin took care of all of the details. I didn't even know I was going to do a meditation course when I got there. I thought I was just at the conference. And she said, okay, tomorrow our Sky meditation starts. So we turned up, I think it was at 6 o'clock in the morning or just before. And we were taught by the instructor, who was fantastic, about the different parts of the body. And I'm not going to go into all of that. Maybe we'll do that in another episode. But there are energy stores in the body called the chakras. And she was saying that the mind and the spinal cord is what connects the mind with all of the parts of the body. And often there are energy blocks in there, and the meditation helps release the energy blocks. And it blew just that little bit of knowledge shared just blew my mind. But concentrating on their meditation practice called Sky, there were 3 parts of it. So one part, you put your hand, and it was to release any blocks on the lymph nodes. So you put your hands on your hips and did some deep breathing, and then you put them just under your arm, and then did some more just where your lymph nodes are, and the back, just under the nape of your neck. So that was part of it, and that took maybe about, say, 10 minutes. Then it went to the second part, which was even shorter, which was some deep breathing. But it was a third part that really took me to another place. And it was, I would say that part probably took about an hour. And it was,
Wow.
you start off with 20 slow, deep breaths. And what that's meant to do is calm down the mind and the body. Then you did 20 medium pace breaths, and that was meant to enhance emotional stability. And then you did 60 fast breaths. And that was to release stress and promote well-being. And you do that cycle 3 times. And during that cycle, there were times when, I mean, you do it cross-legged, or you sit with your legs under your knees, like folded under. They've got a special word for that. I can't remember. But anyway, there were times when I felt like I was falling forward and I had to jolt and bring myself back. And when I asked them later, she said it was your inner self moving away from your body self. It's like you are losing yourself, and that's a big part of it. It's about losing yourself, because to get to know the real you, you have to lose your ego you. I'm aware I'm getting into the land of woo woo. Anybody who wasn't prepared for it, apologies, but it was fantastic. And you do this, and the whole, yeah,
So
go on.
I just got a quick question then, because that makes sense because ego gets in the way and you need to be able to let go of ego to get to your true inner you and what that is. So that idea of you falling, I I wonder, because obviously there was something in you that was jolting you to like get back in. So the question that came into my brain is, what would have happened if you let the fall happen
I don't
and you didn't jolt
I don't
yourself?
know. I don't know. But what they do say is, so after we had finished all of this, all of the bits of the meditation, you lie down. It's very important to lie down and just be. And if you have time, bearing in mind this has already taken like an hour and a half. If you have time, stay there, because that's when you're going to be able to access, or have a better chance of accessing, um, your true self. Because she was saying that
Mm.
between the body and the mind is your breath, and your breath enables you to transcend into your true self. And I know it sounds a bit woo woo, but when we are living a life that isn't aligned to us, we know that, this job doesn't feel right, this relationship doesn't feel right, this country doesn't feel right, this way of working doesn't feel right, then what is right? And we have to let go of our perception of what is good and right and successful, and tap into what we innately believe is success for us. But you can only do that when you let go of the perception fueled Tasmin and go into the Tasmin that has no perceptions and just is being.
Mm.
Um, and when we finished that day one, and bear in mind, I'd spoken to people before, said, "Oh, I'm going to do my first sky meditation tomorrow." And they said, "Oh, wow, you're in for a treat. Your life will never be the same." I heard this time and time again. When I walked out of that yoga center, it felt as if two things I felt. One, as if a vacuum cleaner had gone into my head and taken all of the clutter out. I was Yeah, I
Really?
was calm, I was light, and it felt like, for those people who wear glasses, if your glasses have got really mucky and you take the time to put the spray on and get the proper cloth and give it a good clean, and you look out and you think, wow, I can see now. Those are the two things I felt. I felt calm, I felt free, I felt light, I felt focused, I felt focused. I don't even know if I want to use that word, because sometimes that can feel like pressure, I'm really focused. I just felt like I was floating.
Hmm. I really love the analogy of being able to take a vacuum and like tidy up all the clutter that's in your brain, because I would flipping love that, because it's really hard when you have so much in your brain, because you feel like you're being pulled in lots of different ways, and it is so hard to know what do you focus on, what is important. And I'm all for it. Like, and yeah, I mean, I wanna do it. I want to be able to feel lighter. I want to feel like I'm floating. I want to feel focused and getting into, okay, Sarah, what is it, like, get rid of all that clutter, get all of that stuff that is not serving you, to be able to be really focused and really know what you want to do.
And it's not even a
Yeah.
and again, I'm going to tweak it slightly. It's not about what you want to do; it's who you want to be. And and I'm speaking as somebody who is, tiptoeing into this world. But what they say about the breath work, and you alluded to how you found it difficult to switch off when you went to sound bath, because it's quite prescriptive. Now do this breath. Now do this breath. Now do this. Now do that. Now stand up. Down. Put your hands here. It's really ideal for like people who are really busy, who are overthinking, who struggle with traditional meditation, because it's quite do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. So you are following instructions. But at the end of it, what it's done. Oh, and there was a third part. I forgot to tell you about this bit where you sort of clench your fist and you put that fist near your shoulder and then you move it up and then move your hand up and down really quite fast. And at the end, you just feel like a bit lightheaded. And what they're saying is they use the word prana. And I think prana is like your cerebral fluid, the thing that goes between your brain and your spinal cord. And she said that's the prana moving around your body. You're unblocking those energy blocks now. That was all of it was very prescriptive in what you do, but the end result was beautiful, really lightheaded, really, and you just felt everything that shouldn't be on your shoulders got lifted off.
So, a question to you,
Mm.
Tasmin. So, when was this? Was it quite a few
It was
weeks
a
ago?
few weeks ago. So we had day two. Unfortunately, I couldn't do day three because I was flying back early to get back in time for Women in Tech SEO.
My quick
Yeah.
question is, um, obviously, you had this experience and you did this meditation a few weeks ago, and afterwards you were super clear. You got rid of all that clutter. You knew, okay, who was the real Tasmin, and that must have been a really good um, experience and being able to feel that. Was it then? Does it last, or do you have to keep doing it, because as you're moving through life and you just get back to your day to day, you that's when the clutter starts again. So how long did it last, or does it still is it still got its lasting effects?
So I would use the analogy of washing. Supposing you're really filthy and you had a really long bath and you felt really clean. Obviously, it's going to last for a bit, but there comes a point where you think, oh, I need to have another shower. Right?
True,
Um,
true.
but
Yeah.
okay, so a few things happened. Um, I got back and went straight into Women in Tech SEO. But I got back on the Monday and I went to Women in Tech SEO on the Wednesday. On the Monday evening, I got a phone call from somebody who I know quite well, who was struggling with someone, with something with her business. And I said, you know what? You really need a coach. And I wasn't for, at no point did I think she should pick me. I was just saying, you need a coach. And she said, can you be my coach? And that threw me. I was not expecting that. So that happened. And within 2 weeks, without trying, without approaching, I signed up 4 clients. Like the messages just came through via email, via this. via that. Could you be my coach? Could you be my coach? And I've not experienced that flurry of people signing within not even 2 weeks, like 10 days, 4 clients. It's pretty good. So that's number one. Number two, I was less worried about making approaches, about making connections. So one of the women I heard on a panel, she's heavily into finances. She encourages women to take a lead on investing. And she's got this platform called Lakshmi that has got, I think, about 500,000 women. So, no, it's not a small Mickey Mouse setup. And I thought, and I said to my husband, I feel like I'm going to be working more with Bangalore. I don't know how, I don't know what, but my gut tells me that I will. And I'd connected with her on LinkedIn. And then I asked her, would you come onto the podcast? And she responded. And I didn't think she'd say yes because she's a busy woman. She said, yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast. So I think when you are just you doing what you just want to do, it just has this different energy. But I have, so they, going back to your question, what they recommend is for 40 days to carry on this practice of doing the meditation. I haven't been able to do it 40 days on the trot, but I have I've practiced it again a few times. I think for me, I should be able to do it 3 times a week. I've spoken to people who do it, about 3 times a week. So that's my long answer to your question.
When you say 3 times a week, specifically
Yeah,
the sky
meditation. Yeah, yeah.
meditation method. Okay.
Because what works is I feel energized. The breath work combination of do this, do this, do this really works for me. I enjoyed it, and what they what they are saying is, yes, it reduces stress and emotional regulation, which you'd expect. But what it does, it also increases focus and creativity. So on days when I want to be creative, if I am creating my content for social, I'll do it before then because it just gets me in
Mm.
that zone.
Mm.
Um, I have done different types of meditation before. And I've done, affirmation, visualization, all of that stuff. And that also has helped. And the great thing about when I used to meditate, I had this thing. I'd do the breath work, the affirmations, the visualization, and then straight away I'd get a piece of paper and write. And the stuff that I was writing felt like I wasn't writing it, just words were coming out. And more often than not,
Mm.
those are the words I needed to hear at the time.
I imagine, like me, there'll be other people who have been listening to this episode and are like, I want to do this sky meditation. How would I go about doing it? Is it something that you have to pay to be guided through? Or is there something online, YouTube? I don't know. How does one access this
So there are
meditation?
centres worldwide. I would Google Art of Living courses near me, and you'll probably find something. I had a quick look because one of my relatives was keen on learning, and I think, don't pin me down on this. I think the 3-day course, which I believe you can do online, but it's live. It's not a recording, is about £250. And if you've done it once, then to refresh, I think it's about £50. So I was saying to my sister-in-laws that why don't we do it together? I think it'd be really good for you.
So yeah, and so when you said £250, like obviously that is an investment, and like yeah, that is money, and not everyone has that sort of capital. But if you do £250, it's not a massive amount of money, and then once you've done it, if you just need a refresher, it's £50. So yeah, if you've got some funds or you've got some money and it's like, okay, do I treat myself to, I'm not trying to tell people how to spend their money here, but if it's a question of, Do I spend my money on a fancy meal out, some fancy clothes, or some meditation? Yeah, it's all about prioritization, isn't it? And thinking this is an investment into yourself. And £250 might seem a lot to some people, but it is, if you can, it is investing in yourself, and sounds like a worthwhile thing to do.
And I'm just making it clear to everyone, I'm not being paid to advocate for them. I'm not getting any ad money or anything like this. There's no
No
commission. They don't
commission.
even know I'm
No
talking
commission is
about it.
happening.
Go on their website. There may be other ways of accessing this. I have no idea. I just did a quick search a few weeks ago. But if you can't, there are other sources. So there are other platforms you can use. There are free meditations, the guided meditations. Find what works for you. Absolutely find what works for you.
So I do remember. So I don't know if you're a Jay Shetty fan,
I can take him in small doses.
but I remember during lockdown, Jay Shetty was doing a load of guided
Yeah,
meditation for free
yeah,
on like YouTube and online platforms. So yeah, like that's just something that came to my
yeah.
brain.
Instagram.
But
There's
yeah.
somebody called. I think his name. I think he, Breath Pod. I think it's called Breath Pod. And he's got a book. I'll try and find the link and I'll put it on in the show notes. But he does guided meditations every now and then for free on Instagram. He's really, really good. I like him. Um,
There's there's also
yeah,
the
the Calm
Calm
app.
app, the
Yeah.
Calm meditation app.
So
That's not, I can't remember if that's free or whether they sort of offer a certain amount for free, or if you, I can't remember
yeah.
what their payment model is, but there's
But
another
if
option, isn't
anyone
there?
is listening to this and really wants to do the sky meditation, and assuming it is £250, and I've not read it incorrectly, put £2 a week in a pot, and this time next year you can treat yourself to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Or the next time that you are going to Costa or going to Starbucks, and like instead of
Yeah.
buying that coffee, put that
Yeah.
money into a pot and make yourself
Yeah.
a coffee at home. It wouldn't
Yeah.
take
And
long, would it?
anytime somebody says, "What should I get you for your birthday, Mother's Day, Christmas?" But just say, "Oh, just put some
Yeah,
money in my sky box." Not
in my sky.
not that
That could
yeah,
get
not that. Okay,
confusing,
let's
Tasmin.
reframe that. My meditation fund.
The Sky
Yeah.
Meditation Fund.
But
Yeah, there you go.
you know what? There's little wonder that so many of these big organizations will invest in meditation for their employees because it does help with focus, it does help with creativity. And in the world that we live in, these are like luxury items now. This is not something that you're just assumed that you've got. These are skills that are so sought after. If you can stay focused and be creative,
Definitely.
you have got so much chance of accelerating your career and really making the most of it. And this is something that, alongside of looking after your physical health, will really help you looking after your mind.
Well, Tasmin, I very much enjoyed this episode. I think that this has been a really good conversation, and hopefully it's inspired our listeners. And I'm sure you'll be putting helpful, so things that you've been talking about. I'm guessing you're going to be putting
I
some
will
things in
absolutely,
the show
yeah.
notes and
I'll
the
put a link
research
to
links.
the Art of Living
Yeah,
Foundation, and anything useful that I can find, I will link it up.
lovely stuff. Wow. Tasmin, that is it. That is
Flying
time
time.
again. That conversation seemed to zoom
Oh,
by.
this is because we were in the state, we were in flow state.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
Tasmin. This has been a
thank you.
wonderful
And,
episode.
thank you to everyone listening. If you're enjoying what Sarah and I are doing and you'd like to support us, there's all sorts of ways you can do that. One is you could buy us a coffee or, a non-caffeinated drink, whatever we choose on the day. via the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. And another way is please sign up to the newsletter. I write it and I want to be able to connect with more of you. So the link is in the show notes. And you know what? It's a two-way thing. You can respond to the newsletter and have a chat with me. So that's also possible. But that would be great.
You could also find a really tall mountain or hill and shout the SEO mindset to get more people
Or
listening.
don't even go to the mountain. Just wherever you are. In fact, today, do you know what? Today, everyone you meet, tell them about the SEO Mindset podcast.
There you go. Yeah, help us spread the word, because word of mouth always works well
Absolutely.
for podcasts. So yeah, that would be
Anyway,
lovely.
it's time
Right, Tazmin,
time to say goodbye, Sarah.
it is time to say goodbye, which is very sad, but everyone, take care of yourselves until next time. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the
Take care,
episode.
everyone. Bye for now.